Okay, this is Stephen Frew. We're doing a series on change and consciousness and awareness of getting closer to authenticity and closer to the you that you really are as you evolve, as you become more of the individual you're meant to be. Not the individual you were last week. He's good or she's good. But as you continue to develop and deepen your relationship to yourself, which opens you up to wisdom you didn't know was there, opens you up to creativity you didn't know was there, opens you up to vision you didn't know was there. That is an act of faith on my part, that I believe that I can be in a relationship. I'm in a relationship for 35 years. I can be in that relationship for another 35 years and still be learning and still be growing. That's what I choose to do. Now, that's not the same as in athletics, because you have a shelf life as an athlete. I know that. But your body is still a body and will be a body 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when you're no longer aspiring to pitch for the Red Sox. You're still dealing with the intelligence of your body. And what that means, you're dealing with it in terms of intimate relationships, you're dealing with it in terms of health and flexibility and energy levels and stuff like that. So, what do you do when something horrible happens? What do you do? Something horrible happens to all of us, pretty much all of us. We have a failure, we stumble and fall, we get a disease, something bad happens. We get fired, we don't make the team, whatever, you pick it. I have a friend, he's a good friend, he's a wonderful man, who wrote a book that says, it's not what happened to you, it's what you do about it that matters. His name is W. Mitchell. He's a motivational speaker and he speaks all over the world. And I love him. He's terrific. When Mitchell was in his 20s, and Mitchell, if you're listening, I hope I tell this story right, because I love your story so much. When he was in his 20s, he had a motorcycle accident and was burned over 80% of his body. He was so badly burned, they had to use some of his toes to graft on so he'd have little fingers and stuff like that. I mean, he really went through hell. And he survived it. And then he was in Colorado and he started a business there. And it was a successful business. And he was flying a couple of investors in his own plane of the town up on the mountains. He was flying them out and the plane stalled and crashed. And his visitors walked away, but W. Mitchell was paralyzed. So he spends the rest of his life in a wheelchair. So when I met him, here's how I met him, was part of the story. I was working for a company in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they wanted Mitchell to be the keynote speaker at a big event. And they asked me, since I was in California and he's in California, if I would go interview him and see if he would be appropriate. So I went up to Santa Barbara. Well, I called him and I said, I'd like to interview, and are you open to speak? He said, yes, I am. I'm totally interested. He said, let's meet at the Biltmore Hotel and have lunch. And I said, sure, but how will I notice you? He said, he laughed. He said, it's not hard to notice me. I'm in a wheelchair and I don't have a face. I said, what? Well, he was burned so badly, his face is disfigured and his body is disfigured. So I knew this was a guy I was going to like. And I went up to Santa Barbara and we had lunch together. And he drove himself there. And we talked about stuff, and the company hired him, and he was unbelievable. The audience, a couple thousand people, they loved him. But up in Santa Barbara at that lunch, I said at the end of the lunch, Mitchell, how do you do it? You drive your own van, you travel all over the world, you're in a wheelchair, you can't hardly use your hands, little stubby fingers and so. How do you do it? And he's very, very kind. He's a sweet, sweet man. He said to me, Stephen, before my 2 accidents, I could do 10,000 things. Now, I can do 8,000. See, he took the whole thing and reframed it. Not what he couldn't do, but what he could do. So all major changes have some of that in them. What we were doing, I have men in business whose business has failed, who want to just give up. Maybe it's time for me to retire. Maybe it's time for me to live on Social Security. I have men like that, and I have men in business who say, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? And embrace that. I've known women. I knew a woman who went through at 60 years old, went through a whole training program about being a human resource person and opened her own human resource consulting business and very, very successfully practiced that. Because it's not a dead end, it's not a cul-de-sac. Change is meant to open and to bring us the new life that's within us and that's within the planet, that's within around you. Change is meant to do that. We are facing change about climate, the way we deal with climate. We are facing change about the way we deal with politics. We are facing change about the way we deal with money, investments, and accountability and all of that. All that change is going on constantly with a thrum. Change is going on. And also disasters go on in the middle of that change. And the question for us is not, it's too bad. The question for us is, what do we do now? So in the future of these podcasts, we're going to talk about what we do now, what we do in relationships that take our relationship from flatlined to alive and well and resonant. What we do as an athlete when our days as a pitcher are coming to an end, or our days as a shortstop, we're no longer playing that position. What do we do with our life? If we don't know, our lives deteriorate. If we have curiosity and genuine interest and openness to the spirit within us, our lives can become not only more rich, profoundly more rich, but longevity is in our toolbox. We're looking about how we live long and well and meaningfully. That's what I'm interested in. Stephen Frew, thank you so much. There's more to come.